You are welcome to the GMAT 41's English language class. In this class, I'll be teaching you tenses in English language. You would recall that in our previous class, we introduced this part of speech known as verb. You would remember that I explained that there are two classes of verbs. One, the lexical verb, and the other, the auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb has two types on its own: the primary auxiliary verb and the modal auxiliary verb. Our interest in this class is to learn about tenses. We will focus more on lexical verb tenses, okay? We'll focus more on that, not that of auxiliary verb. Remember, lexical verb are main verbs, those verbs that actually show action. If you use that word, someone will know that you want to act, or you want another person to act, or something is happening, or something will happen, or something had happened. Alright, let's move on straight ahead to the focus of this class: tenses. In English language, there are three major tenses. Remember, I said major. There are three major tenses. On the board here we have them. One of them is the present tense. The second one is the past tense. And of course, we have the future tense. These are the three major tenses in English language. But you may hear someone tell you maybe sometime that there are 12 tenses in English. It all depends on your level of study. Okay? And of course, anyone who tells you that there are 12 tenses, the person is not wrong. Let us find out why we could say that there are actually 12 tenses. But remember, I started by saying major. Major tenses, there are three. It is these three tenses in English: present tense, past tense, and future tense, that now gave birth to the other ones which make everything 12. Let us see how they are divided into. Is that okay? Now, each of these three major tenses is divided into four others, okay? Each of these three tenses is divided into what? Four other tenses. Here on the board we have them, okay? We have the simple tense, we have the progressive, also known as the continuous tense. So if you hear progressive, it's still the same as what? Continuous tense. Making it two, is that not so? The third one, we have perfect tense. Perfect tense. And then the fourth, we have the perfect progressive tense. Or you can also call it perfect continuous tense. So look at something here now. This present tense gives birth to four other tenses. This past tense also gives birth to four other tenses, making them how many? 8. Then this future tense also gives birth to four other tenses. If you add the 4 now to 8, everything will become how many? 12 tenses in English. But like I said, I would like us to learn this thing gradually. Is that okay? So that you will understand the idea of tenses in English. Because tenses is very important in the use of English language. First, we would start by looking at the tenses chart. Is that okay? I'm going to show you a chart that shows these tenses and how the three major are divided into others, making them altogether 12. Then after that, we will now start learning each of them one after the other. We will start with the three major tenses. We'll pick the present tense, we'll talk about them with examples so that you will understand how we use these tenses in English language. So get ready, you're going to see the charts showing our tenses. You can see your tenses chart. This tenses chart shows us the tenses that we have in English language. Like we learned previously, there are three major tenses. And those three major tenses give birth to 4 tenses each, which put together will give us 12. So on the board, let us look at this tenses chart. So we start with these tenses. You can see 3 lines drawn from that tenses. Now this points to present tense, which means one of our major tense in English is the present tense. Then we have the past tense, and then of course the future tense. Then again, if you look at each of these 3 major tenses, you then have 4 others under each of them. So let us take a look. Under present tense, we have the simple present tense. That's one. Under that present tense, we also have the present progressive or continuous tense. Remember, I told you earlier, before now, that progressive is still the same as what? Continuous. Number 3, under the present tense, we have present perfect tense. And then under the present tense, we still have another, which is called the present perfect progressive tense. You can also call this the present perfect continuous tense. So these are the 4 tenses under the major tense, present tense, okay? Now let us move on to the past tense, which is this. The past tense also have 4 other tenses under it. Let us go through them and see. 1. The simple past tense. 2. The past progressive, which you can also call the past continuous tense. And then 3. We have the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense. 4. We have the past perfect progressive tense. Remember, this past perfect progressive can also be called past perfect continuous tense. In case you see that anywhere, is that okay? Continuous and progressive, they are the same thing as used in tenses. The third major tense is future tense. Under it again, we have 4 other tenses. We have the simple future tense. We have the future progressive or future continuous tense. Number 3, we have the future perfect tense. And then we have number 4, the future perfect progressive, or you can call it the future perfect continuous tense. If you count these tenses, you will see that there are 12 of them. It is very important for you to know about these tenses. So now that you are learning it, make sure that you are able to put them in your brain, okay? Memorize these tenses. We're going to pick them one after the other and discuss. Then of course, we would see how this can apply when we now break them down to the other 4 tenses.